Welcome back, YouTube. Here is your week 15 preview for this upcoming fantasy hockey week. We're going to get right into things here. I'm going to be giving you guys the best forwards, defensemen, and goalie streamer options so that you guys can maximize the amount of games played in order to win your fantasy hockey week with the best players available. So grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy the content. Starting us off, we have a bit of a weird week in the NHL. A lot of the games are being played on the heavy nights, so that really doesn't give you a lot of options in terms of the off nights. There's only a handful of teams that get, 2 off nights. And some of those teams are the ones that actually only get 2 games. We'll get to that in a second, but the Edmonton Oilers are by far the best option for this upcoming week. They play 4 games. They get 2 off nights. It's great. They are the number 1 option in terms of being able to pick up a streamer for this upcoming week. And then there is like 9 teams that are available that play 4 games and have 1 off night. Those are down below. I'm not going to read off all of them, but for your max games, your min max amount, you're going to want to start off with an Edmonton Oiler because they get 2 off nights to start off the week on the Monday and the Wednesday. And then you're going to want to add and drop that player and pick up somebody on the following teams, whether it's Dallas, Detroit, Montreal, New Jersey, the Rangers, or the Sens on the Thursday. Moving on, like I said, the worst schedule are super busy on the Tuesday, the Thursday, and the Saturday. I'm pretty sure there's 15 games on the Saturday in the NHL. So just something to keep in mind that you're going to really be riding your main players for this upcoming week. But there is a couple options here like Buffalo and Carolina. They get 2 games, but they're both on off night. So if you have multiple ads throughout the week, I highly recommend looking at these players and kind of going off my min-max schedule and then fitting some of these guys in, whether it's on the Sabres or the Canes. And then the Wild also only have 2 games this week, but they do get 1 off night. Moving on to my priority forward streams. Number 1 is just simply because of the schedule is Victor Arvidsson. He is left, right wing eligible, line 2, power play 2. I think he's the best option on the Oilers right now that, would be available in most leagues. The reason being is because he's skating line 2 alongside Leon Draisaitl, who has been absolutely lights out and has jumped into the Hart Trophy conversation. Arvidsson's been pretty good and basically riding the coattails of Draisaitl through this hot streak. Good shot volume as well. He'll chip in a couple hits here and there, but a solid option nonetheless. He's getting line 2 minutes and skating on power play 2. If you can get one of the Patricks, please do this. Pick him up right now. Patrick Kane has gone back to the early 2000s in his prime. 68% owned now. That's wild. He was absolutely a ghost. He was a droppable player probably like 2, maybe even 3 weeks ago. He's been lights out so far, guys. Line 2, power play 1, skating alongside Alex DeBrincat, who's also been really hot as of late. They've seemed to rekindle some of that chemistry under their new coach. And Kane has just been fantastic. So make sure you pick up Kane. And then Patrick Laine is pretty much a guaranteed power play goal every single game. He just recently got off an injury. He's only 55% owned, which I'm shocked. I'm sure that ownership is going to go up as well. But skating line 2 minutes and power play 1, he just shoots the puck. He scores at such a high rate, and he's an absolute power play merchant. So any type of league that counts power play points, you're going to want this guy in your lineup, both left wing and right wing eligible. Evgeny Dadonov is skating on the top line alongside Jason Robertson and Roope Hintz. He's only 4% owned. I think he is a really good option for this upcoming week in deeper leagues. Line 1 minutes and power play 2 time, which honestly has been pretty good as well. So a really good option, I think, is Dadonov. Only right wing eligible, but again, 4% owned in deeper leagues. You want to get to this guy. And Matt Coronato, due to Connor Zary going down with that kind of like major injury, Coronato has really stepped into that top 6 role. He's playing line 2 minutes. He's on power play 1, which in Calgary has been really good. Jonathan Huberdeau has been lighting it up as well, but Coronato is only 2% owned. He just got into the lineup and he's been producing at a pretty decent rate in his last 5 games. So again, if you're in a deeper league and you need a good option for this upcoming week, highly recommend that you grab Matt Coronato. Moving on to some of my other forward streams for this upcoming week, Vasily Podkolzin. Jeff Skinner was an option here. I looked and I'm not thrilled with picking him up right now. He's just not playing in the top 6. He hasn't been good. He just doesn't seem to be getting power play time either. So Vasily Podkolzin, I think, is a good option. Even though he doesn't get any power play time, he's still skating line 2 alongside Leon Draisaitl and Victor Arvidsson, riding along those coattails at 2% owned. Just given the schedule, you can add him in the early part of your week and then drop him, pick up somebody else for the latter half of your week. And you get 2 off nights to start off the week, which is really hard to come by in this week, especially. So I think given the schedule, he's a great option, especially in deeper leagues. Anton Lundell has been solid. Line 3, power play 2. good production as of late. He hits, he blocks, he shoots. Center right wing eligible. I think, great option if you want some exposure to the Florida Panthers, or if you just want to get an early off night game in on the Monday. You can start off with Lundell playing for a couple games and see how it goes at 31% owned. Stefan Noesen, again, is pretty much solidified himself on that top power play unit. I believe he is still skating at it is line 2 technically, because it's Meyer, it's Hischier, and then it's Noesen. And I think they've moved Andre Palat up alongside Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, excuse me. So Noesen is still playing top 6 minutes. He is still getting that power play one time as like a net front presence. I know his production hasn't been great in the past week, but he is still skating in a top 6 in New Jersey, one of the better offensive teams in the league, and he's getting power play one time. So even though you're not necessarily seeing production at a consistent rate, I still think he's a good add on the week. 43% owned if you want some exposure to that Devils top 6 and power play one. Very similar situation with Josh Norris. Is the scoring has been pretty inconsistent as of late. He shoots and hits, which means he has a really good floor. If you're in a categories leagues, you could probably own this guy. He is only center eligible. But again, if you count hits and shots, like, he's a good option. Even though the scoring isn't there, it only takes a week to kind of get back into things. He's getting top line with Brady Tkachuk. He's getting top power play. I think he's a good option. I know the production has been there, but I'm confident that Norris will kind of find his way. He is a scoring threat at pretty much all times, but the Sens haven't been good offensively in the past, like, 5, 6, 7 games even. But if they start to turn around, I think Norris will be a part of that offense going forward, and you're getting top line and power play one exposure alongside him. So at 33% owned, I think he's a good option if you're looking to add somebody for the week. Moving on to defense, you guys know the story. There isn't much on the waiver wire. If you're in a more shallow league, Darnell Nurse is probably your number one option. If you're in a super deep league and you're just looking for some peripheral stats or you need some categories, Brett Kulak is like 1% owned. I think he shoots and blocks quite a bit. I don't think he hits. But in terms of scheduling, that is your best bet. If Nurse is available, snag him, grab him. Same thing with Lane Hutson. If this guy's still available in your league and you need a defenseman, definitely grab him. He is skating on pair 2 right now, power play 1. He's been fantastic in terms of his production. And it just so happened that I dropped him right before he popped off and then somebody else grabbed him. But I think he's a really good option. Even at 55% owned, I expect his ownership to be higher. He's been producing offensively at a very consistent rate, and he's now jumped into that Calder conversation, excuse me. Moving on to Erik Gustafsson, only 1% owned. He's skating on power play 2 in Detroit. He's playing like pair 3 minutes. He's not great in terms of the peripheral stats, but he has been chipping in offensively. And he is still on a power play unit in Detroit on one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League right now. So I think, if you're in a deep league and you really want to get to a defenseman this week, I don't think he's a terrible option. You just really need him to produce in order for him to have any type of value. But if you're picking up a 1% player, chances are you're in a super deep league anyways. So I think it's worth the add on the week just because he gets 4 games and an off night on the Sunday. Luke Hughes, again, not a lot of power play defensemen available to even pick up. And at 44% owned, you're on New Jersey. You're getting exposure to New Jersey players. Again, similar to Hudson, his peripherals aren't great. And, the production hasn't been quite as consistent as what Lane Hutson showed. So I would much rather have Lane Hutson than Luke Hughes. But again, you never know. Luke is talented enough to where he can get multiple points in a single game. He will even chip in on the power play every once in a while. But with Dougie Hamilton being back, it's really kind of stunted his growth a little bit. But again, pair 2 minutes, power play 2. I think he's a good option if you need a defenseman on the week and you're in, a more shallower league potentially, or if you just want to stream a defenseman for the week. And then Jamie Drysdale, again, similar situation to the 3 other guys I just mentioned. Power play 1 minutes for Drysdale, though. He's skating on that top power play unit in Philly. I know their power play isn't necessarily the best, and Drysdale's peripheral stats aren't great. They're not outstanding, but he does chip in some shots, hit some blocks here and there. So again, I think he's a good option. You just get exposure to a power play 1 defenseman and a 2% own with a 4-week schedule and 1 off night. I think he's a good add. And finally, moving on to goaltenders, there wasn't a lot of back-to-backs this week just because of the way that the schedule was and how the busy nights were so heavy in terms of games played and the off nights were so thin. There was only a handful of back-to-backs available. So I took, in my opinion, the best options for you guys. Spencer Knight, January 13th versus the Flyers. Again, not great. He hasn't been fantastic as of late either. He won his last game with a .935 save percentage, and Florida is one of the better teams in the National Hockey League still. So I think that gives you a good shot at an early win and a good start to your week if you choose to go with Knight on the Monday. Casey DeSmith, again, you're getting him against Detroit, who's been a really hot team in the National Hockey League as of late, but it is Dallas at home. So that means that, again, Dallas is one of the best home teams in the National Hockey League. I would feel confident that he would at least get you a ton of saves and the chance at a win. Dan Vladar, again, January 13th at Chicago or the 14th against St. Louis. I don't know. They have a back-to-back. One of them is going to get a start. It's possible that, given Calgary, that they're just going to start Wolf on and try and get like the guaranteed win against Chicago and then give Vladar the second game against St. Louis, who's the tougher opponent. But either way, I think he's a good option. Should be readily available, 6% owned. And then Jacob Dobbs, 17% owned. You get him on the Sunday against the Rangers on a back-to-back. The Rangers have not been good. They have been better as of late, but again, they haven't been great. So Montreal, again, has been one of the hotter teams in the National Hockey League in the last little bit. And Dobbs has been solid. He hasn't lost a game yet. So keep that in mind. I think he's a good option to kind of finish off your week. And these have been really the best 4 goalies options available to you for this upcoming week. Guys, that's going to do for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. I will see you in the next video. Good luck in your week 15 matchups in fantasy hockey.